For the longest day in the year, fill it with more Fragments of Silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Petty and Galax. And I suppose first, programming notes. You might notice that this is a double topic week. Not a thing we bring out too often, but our guest had to reschedule due to a case of the flu.
Which is unfortunately something that is a tough thing to broadcast through and sometimes happens without warning.
Yep. Apparently he had been fighting it all week, so, we got this.
Or alternately, you're hoping it gets better and then sometimes it doesn't.
Let's not go down that route.
Well, no, I mean, he was hoping it would be better by the end of the week, or by the middle of the week, obviously.
It can also morph into pneumonia.
Yeah, I didn't mean that, although it is possible.
Anyway, let's get to the news. Alex, why don't you start us off this week?
Now that Juneteenth is a federal holiday, I had Monday off this week, but unfortunately, that doesn't mean that I had less work to do this week. This is a busy week at work, so I've been very busy for the last couple of days, and that's not a whole lot of fun, but thankfully, everybody else is also helping, so it hasn't been that bad. Also at the store, I found strawberries and cream flavored Dr. Pepper, which is interesting. Video game wise, getting back a little bit into Splatoon 3, especially since they announced a new Splatfest today, which we'll be talking about, I'm sure. But also still playing Tears of the Kingdom. And I haven't played it yet, but I downloaded a demo for that weird A Christmas Carol friggin' Metroidvania thing that they released a video for.
Ebenezer and the Invisible World?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I just got a press release about that the other day.
Well, I saw the video and it said there was a free demo, and it looks like at least a decent hand-drawn Metroidvania thing, so I figured it wouldn't hurt to try it out. Yep. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. I think that's about what we got.
Okay.
Last Sunday. Well, no, actually, a couple other things. Last weekend, Langrisser with Mac was once again a lost progress thing, unfortunately. And unfortunately, my Pathfinder game is on hold for 2 weeks. This weekend, I guess, is PortCon. Really snuck up on me this year. I'm just going to go and hang out for a little while after work on Friday, I think. I'm still not really... My discomfort with being in crowded places has still increased since the pandemic and has not gone back down yet.
Understandable.
But I do want to at least check it out a little. And then next week, I think the host had something that they were doing. So I have a couple of weeks to try to work on the villain I'm trying to do, which is hard for me because if I think about villains too much, I usually try to end up giving them a background that, makes them redeemable or something, and I don't want to do that too much with this one.
So I didn't always want to stomp on puppies.
Well, particularly when you have relatively low-key dropped that they've done some pretty bad things. I mean, it's not like there aren't plenty of stories with characters that have done really bad things that just sort of eventually people stop caring about when either a worse person happens or they've teamed up with or they've been enemies of convenience for long enough. But yeah, so I need to try to find someone to talk to bounce some ideas off of for that, I think.
Mm.
But yeah, CR 11 to 12 thread is not the easiest thing to stat up either. So that is, I think, all I got.
Okay. Petty, your go.
Alrighty. Well, overall, I guess the past couple weeks, since we didn't really have a news segment last week, has been relatively quiet. Just kind of waiting for my surgery date to come upon us. I do know next week I need to see the doctor because I was informed that because I'm on a couple of diabetic medications, even though I don't actually have diabetes, the surgeon's office wants me to check my blood sugar and A1C and stuff, so I need to see my primary care about getting that taken care of.
Let me guess. Are you on metformin?
Metformin and Trulicity.
I have glipizide.
Yeah. Well, and these are mostly I guess some of the side effects for these. They help with weight loss.
It can. Like, metformin has more side effects.
Yeah. And
Like,
I'm not actually diabetic. I'm what they're calling pre-diabetic. So my
yeah.
sugar is a little high, but there's nothing showing that there's anything wrong with my pancreas. So if they deal with this now, then I shouldn't have to worry about, the actual issues of diabetes.
Yeah.
Reverse it because it's irreversible. So
Not
yeah.
irreversible.
Hmm?
It's complicated.
Yeah. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And yeah, as far as gaming goes, not a whole lot. I did pick up, what's it called? A game called Neon Abyss on Switch because they had the collector's edition for like $5 on sale. And I did play it when it was on Game Pass, and I thought it was all right, and figured $5 for it and its DLC ain't a bad idea. So that'll give me something to play while I am, recovering and whatnot. I may try and see if I can get Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm not sure on that. Just because, $70 game.
Yeah.
A lot easier to justify something for $5 than it is to throw down 70 on something. And also I guess something that's been kind of nice is Digimon has started to pick up a little bit more at the card shop. Luckily, we've been having the tournaments early enough. I don't have to worry about being late for the show all that much.
Mm-hmm.
But it is nice that we're starting to get new people to want to play, and some of the other people who left are wanting to get back into the game. Because that means more product. And the new EX4 set comes out this weekend. So that's fun. More cards. All the cards. I'm just hyped that probably early next year then EX5 set, I get Lunamon finally, which Lunamon's my favorite Digimon. So, yay! And yeah, I think that's it from me.
All right. That means it's my go. Let's see. Well, my week was kind of beset by, let's say, family affairs. Can't really go into detail, but let's just say people needed to be helped out of a jam. And
Ominous.
Peanut butter, or I'm kidding.
Probably would have been smoother. But
a chunky jam.
You know, let's just say things are resolved, and you know, given what I've been told about the situation, it shouldn't arise again. So that's good. And that's probably all I'm at liberty to say right now. Let's see. Been kind of bouncing through games on the catalog side of things. Played a bit of some Lego games, and just I continually have the same reaction with Lego games. They're okay for a few hours, but I will get bored of them because, like, they're not just basic, but they are so basic that I was falling asleep at some point, or a little, about to fall asleep at some points. Like, these things aren't just basic; they're brain dead.
Mm-hmm.
And Lego City Undercover had different problems. I didn't like how everything was locked behind abilities. Like, okay, you got an open world here, but I can't actually do anything in the open world without actually going through the story missions, and I don't want to do that. Also, there is no radio here. Really distracting when I'm in a car and I can't turn on some music, without providing my own. Also tried a bit of Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform, and turns out I hate it. I wasn't expecting this game to be as slidey as it is. Like, even for a kart racer, this is really slippery. Like, it was in the drifting. Like, there's an art to this, and I'm just like, I don't have the patience to learn this.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now I'm playing through a game called Alicia's Tower. I don't know where I picked this up or when. I just have it.
When in doubt, if you don't remember where you got it from, it's probably a Humble Bundle.
Maybe. I may have purchased it when it was on $2, and I bought a whole bunch of games for $2, not in a bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's probably a receipt of it somewhere. Like,
right.
it's like, I do know that this is not something that was scheduled for review. Like, I do tend to remember those. It's just like, look, when you have as many games as I do, you will forget where you got some of them, especially when you've never heard of them before. Anyway, so I think that concludes the news for the week. So we shall shift into our first topic for today. And that is the latest Nintendo Direct, of which aired earlier today. And expectations were all over the place for this one. Like, seriously. I saw everything from Nintendo literally has nothing else but Pikmin 4 to Nintendo is going to gift us with a new 2D Mario game, which was rumored. in the Nintendo Direct rumors, but it was like a new pixel art 2D Mario game.
Not the most likely possibility.
Yeah, Nintendo is, if they're going to do a pixel art game with Mario, it's probably going to be an 8-bit or 16-bit affair. Like, you're not going to get modern, high quality pixel art from them. Like, have you paid attention to their games? Yeah, they do 2D stuff, but it's all rendered in 3D. Like, unless they're like throwing retro, like literal retro pixels at you.
Yeah, and spoilers, they did announce something to that effect, and it's basically newer Super Mario or Brothers or.
Yeah,
I mean, like in a good way. It looks like the gameplay gimmicks look good, but the art style is very much, hey, do you remember the new Super Mario Brothers series?
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely in the mold. I will say, okay, so yeah, the headline, like Nintendo laid down its Switch games for the rest of the year and a bit into 2024, and the headliner is clearly Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It's a new 2D Super Mario Brothers game, and to their credit, like it's not another new Super Mario Brothers game, but you could like.
It doesn't have that in the name, but it has the same.
It has the same
approximate
gameplay.
Aesthetic.
Yeah. Although they kind of got this claymation thing going on here, like it's weird. Like it looks a bit different than a new Super Mario Brothers game. It's got more personality than one of those, I will say.
I guess.
Also, it is worth noting that, and there has been whining about Nintendo doing another one of these. Nintendo actually hasn't released a new one of these since 2012. That's the key. Like, okay, we've had the Super Mario Maker series, but that's kind of its own thing. Like, it's not just it's not a platform game, as it is a literal creation tool set that has a platform game attached to it. Not exactly the same thing. And, new Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch doesn't count because that is literally releasing an old game. We don't count that shit. So it's been over 10 years since the initial release of New Super Mario Bros. U. So I think enough time has passed where Nintendo can release another one of these.
Yeah, and they are doing stuff such as reusing the gold flag from Mario 1, various stages that look pretty traditional, but then have some very specific set pieces that require the higher graphics stuff. And it looks like this time part of the gimmick is that they're going to be triggered by these Wonder Seed things that they've got, hence the name.
Well, I got the PR in front of me, and they're calling them Wonder Flowers.
Right, the Wonder Flower. The collectibles are the seeds. The things that actually trigger them are the flowers.
Yeah.
No news yet on whether they're related, but the smart money is on probably.
And I suppose like the most interesting thing going on here is the actual roster. As they showed off Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach is going to be here. Yoshi is confirmed as a playable character, not just a ride. And the biggest surprise is Princess Daisy.
Which I guess, I wonder how they'll make her mechanically different from Peach. But they managed to do that between... none of the characters have been mechanically identical except for Blue Toad and Yellow Toad in the games where they had both of those, so...
Yeah. And, the big power-up in this one is Elephant Mario. But
who, if nothing else, can defeat Goombas just by walking into them, I guess.
Well, your guess is as good as mine because, here's the thing. They just showed the power-up. as Mario transforms, and that's it. Like, they're saving what it does for a future hype video.
Yeah, aside from they did show him kicking a Goomba just by walking into it. Oh, also that reminds me, while the the playable characters are still doing Wahoo and Yahoo and stuff, there are also flowers all over that will talk at you and
those are the Wonder
suggest you
Flowers.
to do stuff or say hi or whatever.
Yeah.
Your mileage may vary on whether or not this gets old.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, I know, people. There are some people who are still tired of the new Super Mario Brothers games, and that's understandable. But it's like, this is very clearly the headliner, nonetheless. Second among them is the Super Mario RPG remake, which is.
They did specifically say new graphics, so I'm not suspecting much actual new stuff, but this is a game that was long thought to basically be in company jail, getting a new thing, and also the art looks very good and looks much better than it used to, because now they no longer need to pre-render the stuff and can actually render it.
Yeah. Like, once again, looking at the actual press release, they are hyping up the overhauled graphics. They're not mentioning any new stuff, and which means don't get your hopes up for new stuff because remake marketing, they usually hype up new stuff if they have new. And the fact that they don't. That they're not mentioning, oh, hey, we built a new area, or we're adding a new character, whatever. That tells me that this is going to be a remake in a very pure sense, as in they've remade the graphics to not look like eye-searing ass.
It does look like they have redone cutscenes from more dynamic camera angles.
Well, that's probably part of the overhaul graphics,
right?
Because they can have actual cutscenes and shit now.
And they did say after that, I don't, probably unconnected, but who knows, that there's going to be a new Princess Peach game about which we know only that it exists and that something's going to happen to her dress when she stands at a certain place on stage.
Something magical girl.
Oh, and there was no talking umbrella featured yet.
Yet.
Yeah, well, that's not some people, including me, to call that thing new Super Princess Peach or Super Princess Peach 2. That's like the only frame of reference we have for Princess Peach game.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some speculation that this game may not even be a Switch game. It might be a Switch 2 game. Given how
in which the Switch 2 may exist and and be coming in a reasonable amount of time for there to be games being advertised for it. But yeah.
Lot of raps still on this one because they didn't even announce a name. Maybe they haven't come up with it. Maybe that's being held back for other reasons. We don't know.
Clearly, if they told us the name at this point, it would spoil too much about the lore of the game.
Yeah, also in the 2024 wing is a visually enhanced edition of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which means they've run out of Nintendo Wii U games, and so they have to go to other systems for their remakes.
Well, I guess the only thing
this wasn't a bad one, although it did suffer a little bit from the portable format.
The only thing I have left is
that it was
Xenoblade
designed
Chronicles
for
X.
shorter play sessions by having more bite-sized mansions instead of a big one.
Yeah.
Or rather, bite-sized missions, I shouldn't say, not the bite-sized mansion.
Yeah. At any rate, also announced was Nintendo going, if nothing else, all in on Pikmin.
Yeah, we got a big promo for Pikmin 4 and also their which announced some of the mechanics that like you get to go out at night now. They had previously announced that you create a character and that character is going to rescue other characters who are lost. You're going to have Pikmin gathering stuff matches against mutated other people on the planet.
You're kind of dancing around the big reveal. That is night missions.
Yeah, I was getting to that, but yeah.
Right, but like I said, that probably should have led. They have announced a new type of Pikmin, the glow Pikmin, which are specifically to be used at night.
Which new types of Pikmin is not new per se, but this one has an interesting purpose, and we will see how it goes because presumably their purpose is to make it less terrifying at night because Pikmin World is terrifying at night.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So presumably shining a flashlight at the bulb orbs will make them not be in complete berserk mode.
Alongside these details, we got the shadow drop of the Nintendo Direct as Pikmin 1 and 2 HD got not only announced, but are now available on the Nintendo eShop. Individually or in a digital bundle. And is slated to have a physical release in September. September 22nd. So not sure who's handling Pikmin 1 and 2's remake, or for that matter,
Wii U, right?
Yes.
3 was Wii U, but Pikmin 3 Deluxe is also on the Nintendo Switch. So
right,
all of the mainline Pikmin games are on the Nintendo Switch. So, like, the only Pikmin game not there is Hey You Pikmin, and
which no enormous loss there.
Yeah, like I think about 3 people remember.
I remember that they made it 2D and then.
But like perhaps the most unexpected announcement was a new WarioWare game.
Mm-hmm.
WarioWare Shake It or
Move It.
Move It. There we go.
Shake It was
Shake
It.
Shake It. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is not the most disability-friendly game.
Oh God, no.
Although there have been previous ones that also wasn't there a Wii one that was also kind of.
Yeah. This is in the vein of smooth moves. But okay, this one's a bit odd because so you're like WarioWare back during like the DS Wii days, that was basically used as a testing ground for whatever gimmick Nintendo was using that week.
And this one is using Joy-Con stuff, but it's not even putting Joy-Con stuff to its limits, or at least if it is, they haven't shown that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also
Joy-Cons aren't new technology.
Yeah, we're in year 7 of the Nintendo Switch, so Joy-Cons, HD Rumble, the whole Nintendo Switch suite, it's not a mystery anymore. Or if it is, you've just not ever played a Nintendo Switch or something like that. And yeah, hopefully this works out better than the previous WarioWare game, whose gimmick wasn't the best. If I'm being honest, the whole co-op thing, like that was probably something that looked better on paper than in practice. And finally, in regards to new games, the last thing announced by Nintendo was Detective Pikachu returns.
AKA Detective Pikachu 2.
Yeah.
My main concern about this is, will the chonky, gigantic Pikachu amiibo that they made for the first one do anything in this game?
Well, we do have a bit of time to find that out, because this one's coming out in October. That's right. WarioWare is coming out in November. Like I said, Nintendo's got their the rest of their lineup set up here.
I assume it will be another serviceable but very beginner-friendly detective investigation thing.
Possibly, they might also need to release this to serve as the basis of the for the next Detective Pikachu game, Detective Pikachu movie.
Although notably, not as a surprise, notably, but just notably, they are using the previous game version of the characters and not the movie version.
Yeah, like there might be some rights issues there. Like,
oh yeah, well, I was expecting them to get Ryan Reynolds. I guess it wouldn't be very good continuity if they changed the main character's appearance drastically. Although, I guess they could allow creation mode or something with that. But
possibly, but anyway, in supplemental Nintendo news, we got I forget, was the Pokemon DLC previously announced?
yes, it was previously announced.
Yeah.
And the names, they just announced a few more characters, and we got many more images of what returning Pokemon will be found, as well as some new areas, like more details on the areas.
Right.
Like Twitter did mention what stuff will be version exclusive.
Yeah. Also, a new Splatoon 3 Splatfest is happening.
Unfortunately, no news on the DLC for that, which was the first wave of was fairly minor. It's just a new hub that is functionally very similar. I mean, it doesn't have any like different facilities in terms of what they do, although the shopkeepers are different, and you do get different badges for shopping at the different stores enough.
Mm-hmm. And let me see here. Also announced was Nintendo Live, which isn't isn't anything game related in terms. It's a thing for you to play games, enjoy live performances, take photos in Seattle.
Honestly, I barely missed. I barely noticed that part.
I mean, it took up a bit of space. I guess
I remember it now that you say it, but
yeah. Also, technically, but sort of, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, The Last Spark Hunter got announced. Next DLC for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. That's actually Ubisoft.
It's a good game, so
right. So moving on to third-party stuff. Let's see. So a couple of old game bundles showed up here. Batman: The Arkham Trilogy was announced, which I'm actually kind of surprised it took this long for these games to hit the Nintendo Switch.
But it looks like they're doing the I want to say the usual of including all of the previous DLC and stuff, but really that's only notable because of one notable instance of non-Nintendo related recently that's not doing that, and everybody's going fucking why, namely that Persona 3 thing.
Right. Well, I mean, Persona 3 is, kind of fucking things up in its own way.
Right. No, that is the unusual thing.
Yeah.
To not include anything beyond the base game. Hopefully they'll at least sell it as DLC. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and people were surprised that Arkham Knight wasn't a cloud version. I'm like, guys,
It wasn't that new of a game.
yeah, it's like Arkham Knight was released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We've had Xbox One / PlayStation 4 level games released on the Nintendo Switch before, and done fairly well.
Yeah, it's current gen, that is PS5 and Xbox Series.
Yeah,
ones that are having problems.
Yeah, that's like either the cloud or nothing. There, Arkham Knight, it was doable. How well it's going to end up, well, that depends on the porting house and all those factors. Also announced here was more details on the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, because this was announced at the PlayStation State of Play, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it's been announced, but they announced the different versions of games that are in it, and also the the pretty extensive non-game related content included.
Yeah, I have concerns about what they've announced.
No.
Okay, they announced.
I mean, I don't have. It's not that I don't have concerns. I'm just curious what yours are.
They've announced Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Several of those games have all of these games have several versions of them.
Yeah, and these are presumably just going to be the base versions.
Yeah, that's a problem. If it is true, this better be Metal Gear Solid 2 Subsistence and Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance. Those are the improved versions of those games. I
doubt they will be.
That's what I'm doubting as well, and I'm not happy about it. As far as Metal Gear Solid the Twin Snakes, yeah, that's a whole other kettle of fish. But yeah, also announced alongside of that, we got the confirmation of Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, the NES version of Metal Gear for some reason, and
the NES sequel to Metal Gear, which was a completely different game.
Yeah, Snake's Revenge, which is, I guess, okay, good for the sake of history, but oh dear God. And
look, it's included. We didn't say it was good.
No. And look, I know it wasn't called Metal Gear Solid in other territories, but could we have gotten the Game Boy Color version of Metal Gear Solid here? I know that was Metal Gear Ghost Babel in technicality, but that's a good game that is highly underrated and more people need to know about. Snake's Revenge is bad. Anyway, other things. We got a reiteration of Sonic Superstars.
Possibly some minor additional details.
I'm still not really sold on this, if only because 4-player Sonic sounds as bad as 4-player Mario.
I would say it sounds worse, but they have done 2-player Sonic without problems before, mostly by warping Tails off the screen a lot.
Yeah, so we'll see how that...
They may have to do that. The problem is, when your gameplay is about going fast, and you're putting more than one person on the thing, they're not guaranteed to all be going fast in the same direction. Which can result in either people being way the fuck off screen or else needing to zoom out a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of Sonic, from the team behind Sonic Mania, which doesn't clarify...
I don't know which team they're talking about there.
Yeah, it's PR people. There were a lot of people. There were like at least 3 companies that worked
Like
on
the
Slick.
logo did not have the screen. I forget which the team that it had was, but
Yeah.
it did not have headcanon on it. For example.
Yeah. That could have been Pagoda West. I'm thinking
I think
Pagoda
so.
West.
That
But yeah,
sounds
it's
right.
like, yeah, but yeah, it's like there were a lot of teams behind Sonic Mania. But anyway, so we're getting a 3D platforming adventure called Penny's Big Breakaway.
Which looked fun enough.
Yeah.
Looks like it's very much in the 3D collectathon style, at least from first impressions.
Yeah. Also announced Myth Force, which is actually existed on the PC in early access for over a year now. It's coming out of early access and it's coming to consoles. Trying to see if we can get Beamdog onto the program, but it's one of those cases where the people that we knew have left, and you know this happens with some of the companies we have on the program. You know, we have a working relationship until the point person leaves, and so it's back to square one.
Which is not a super unusual thing to happen, unfortunately.
No. Anyway, Square Enix had some strong showings here as well. As like, they're still one of the only third parties that are, doing. Okay, maybe not high risk stuff, but they're still doing new content for, new third party content for the Nintendo Switch, and that being targeted there first. It's not like something downported or what have you. To it, like we're getting a new Dragon Quest Monsters game, Dragon Quest Monsters, the Dark Prince, which
as the first one, the first Dragon Quest Monsters way back in the day on the Game Boy, featured the canonical rival character in Dragon Quest VI. This one, it looks like you may be playing as the villain of Dragon Quest IV. Or a close relative of that. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. And it's probably going to play like a Dragon Quest Monsters game.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
No. It's more Persona than Pokemon. Just keep that in mind. In that fusing monsters is very important Dragon Quest monsters.
Yeah, you can raise low-level monsters up to higher levels easier than in Persona, at least. But there's definitely a hierarchy of, yes, your slime when you get it to super high, although at least the earlier ones had level caps that you had to increase by, like, breeding or whatever.
Yeah.
I think. But anyway, yes, a high-level slime might learn one powerful attack, but it's still going to have the stats of a slime.
Yeah.
And there's very limited evolution. Most of it is combining.
Yeah. All right. Some other Nintendo bits I forgot. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting more stuff for the Booster Course Pass Wave 5. The Squeaky Clean Sprint for a new course.
Which is interesting. It's like the miniature inside of a bathroom kitchen thing.
Yeah.
And lots of new and 3 more new characters, which they are including many characters.
Well, you can You can tell where they are by the who they're including. We're getting PD Piranha from Double Dash.
Hey, some of my friends are very big PD Piranha fans.
Yeah, Wiggler from Mario Kart 7 and Kamek from Tour. Also worth noting. Yeah, also worth noting, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is getting a couple of new amiibo.
Yep. They did not announce anything about DLC, but
I'm sure that's coming. Yeah. That announcement might be coming next year.
But yeah, the amiibo, which had been data mined previously, due to the fact that there are paraglider skins you get from them in the game already.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Square Enix. In surprise remake terms, we're getting a remake of Star Ocean: The Second Story. which is not unappreciated. The second story is arguably the best one in the series.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering, this is the PlayStation one. Like, because Star Ocean one was on the Super Famicom, and the second story also Famicom, and that went to the PlayStation. I don't remember offhand. Like, I want to say that no, this was PlayStation, but also interestingly,
Not my franchise, but I've heard good things
Yeah.
about it generally.
it's not my franchise either. Mac would probably know more.
And they're doing the HD 2D-ish style kind of thing.
Right, but they didn't specifically announce it as an HD 2D thing. Makes me also wonder what happened to Dragon Quest 3. Been an age since we heard anything on that one. And there are some various sundry indie third-party games, like Fae Farm or Hot Wheels Unleashed 2.
Decent number of games with strong life sim elements.
Yeah. Manic Mechanics, which is probably notable because it's the first new game from Minecraft Porthouse 4J Studios in a good long while. Gloomhaven Vampire Survivors got announced.
Now with 4-player co-op, which I don't know if it has ever had before.
Yeah. Persona 5 Tactica, which has already been announced.
Mm-hmm.
Just Dance 2024 edition. And that really fills out the Nintendo Direct. So, if I had to rate, I would rate this a fairly solid Direct. Not amazing, but not bad either.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly Nintendo doesn't really have anything on the level of Tears of the Kingdom, at least not announced.
Yeah,
and,
not in their short-term future, but it's not like there's going to be nothing to play.
It's like, but people do scoff at a new 2D Mario game. I think the new series has kind of poisoned their mind a little bit, at least in terms of wider reception and sales.
Yeah, the new game looks like it has some fun mechanics and stuff in it. We'll see how it's implemented. I'm sure the plot is going to be as minimal as previously.
Yeah, and here's the thing: in terms of sales, I'll say right here now, this game may outsell Tears of the Kingdom. Like, hard to say, but New Super Mario Bros. Wii sold a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
And New Super Mario Bros. On the DS sold a shit ton. Mario in general usually outsells most things, even most other Nintendo things.
Yeah, it's more kid friendly than Zelda and stuff. So it's something that like everyone will buy for their 5-year-old.
Yeah. Now there is a good chance that Tears of the Kingdom could still draw better than this. It's just don't discount the sales numbers of a new 2D Mario game.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the rest of Nintendo's lineup, once again, solid stuff. If leaning a little hard on the House of Mario here.
But then Mario did just have a rather dramatic publicity event recently, so...
Yeah, I will say it doesn't reek of the desperation that it did in the GameCube era. Where we got a whole bunch of Mario spin-offs, but it's more, it features Mario. Please buy our system. Not so here. Like, people genuinely want a new, the Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario RPG remake. Not so much the Super Mario.
People have wanted this for a while, and it's not
Yeah.
just Geno fanboys.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to move on. So, Petty, play us to the next segment.
News 2, News Electric Boogle News.
No. We already had this picked out, but there's still a bit of time between now and MSP, so this will be good to fill the gap.
Yeah, the guest wanted to talk about this, but
they're
not here, so maybe we'll pick another game in this genre to talk about for them.
Yeah,
when they're back.
I've got other boomer shooters on my list, but we are talking about Hrot. I brought this game up before because I played it recently, but
it is what you might call a numer shooter.
Nobody has called it that yet. You might want to get. You might want to get to the copyright office. Right.
That is the kind of thing that could catch on, isn't it?
Possibly. It's stupid enough.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're kind of in a golden age for retro throwback FPS games currently.
Yeah, Doom 2016 happened, and then people realized that, oh, wait, people still want to play shooting games that are, like, fast and action-packed and not cover-focused and regenerating health-based.
Right, but Doom 2016 isn't a throwback either. It's not designed like 90s FPSs. It's a new, or at least relatively recent thing. And calling things in that style a boomer shooter is a bit of a misnomer because Doom 2016 was not aiming to be a throwback. So
no, it was the closest it got was approximately aiming to capture some of the feel of that a lot of modern shooters have gotten. But that's, I feel like, a significant part of what made people realize that they missed the feel and wanted it back.
Yeah. Now, if you want to define what a boomer shooter is, we got this specimen right here. Look at it. Just look at it.
If the 3D wasn't a little too crisp, you might think it was literally a DOS game.
Yeah. I mean, this is what a boomer shooter is typically going after for. It's like how I designate the difference between something that's just using retro pixel art and something that's invoking a specific console. Once again, the difference between Shovel Knight or Bat Boy comes to mind that we reviewed recently.
Mm-hmm.
And, some of the various Radalikia games that we covered on the program. Just to name, this game is invoking Quake. It wears its influence not just on its sleeve, its shoulder, its goddamn neck. Because, this game might run on a computer from 1997. I'm honestly not sure.
If you're a fan of Quake, you might like it. If you're also a fan of Soviet-era Czechoslovakia, boy, have we got a game for you.
Yeah. That is an incredibly specific thing to be a fan of, but this game is...
I'm sure they exist.
Well, they exist in the fact that the person who made this game, because believe it or not, this was a solo dev feature, apparently. There might have been some contract work or what, it's like, it's one of those things that we'd find out in an interview or whatever. But yeah, this game takes place in Prague in 1986. So that's during, the rule of technically not the Soviet Union, but the Czech government was a puppet of the Soviet government, kind of deal. And in keeping with that theming, you as I'm not sure if gas mask guy here, whatever, has a name or a nickname, but it's 1986 and there's some unknown disaster that's beset the country, Chernobyl. So
don't be silly. That's in Ukraine.
You know how far that radiation?
Oh yes, I know. I know it's not like it only. I know it didn't just affect Ukraine.
Yeah. Yeah. But. Yeah.
Anyways, making zombies and stuff or something.
Yeah. You have to do something. I'm not sure what. Because this game doesn't even really bother with the merest pretenses of a plot, like even Quake did. Like instead of having overwrought dungeon master nonsense in between chapters, you know what they give you at the end of an episode?
Score?
Recipes. I'm not even joking. They give you recipes for some tasty food, like beef stroganoff.
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
But yes, we're not exactly sure what the problem is, but when the only tool you have is an array of Soviet era weaponry, every problem starts looking like something you can shoot.
Yeah, and also it's like you also have a non-functioning gas mask. By the way, this disaster is why everyone here is wearing gas masks, even the horses. I'm like,
fun fact: nuclear fallout still not good for horses.
No. Granted, a nuclear fallout's not going to do much in terms of like breathability, like that. Like
fallout is air pollution, and if you can keep it from getting in your lungs, it's moderately less bad. But yes, ideally, you just want to be nowhere near it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so getting into the weaponry of the game, it's all very standard, if I'm being honest.
You mentioned that some of it has been had some of the shall we say symbolism toned down, such as the sickle weapon no longer comes with a complementary hammer.
Yeah, Petty had the sickle on screen, and it's
right,
and it's much more in line with Dusk now. And once again, the weapon library overall is fairly standard. You got pistol. Perhaps the most notable thing there is you can dual wield pistols. You've got a shotgun. You got a single action shotgun. You got the double barrel. You've got the machine gun. You've got the rocket launcher. You've got the mines. You've got grenades. And interesting thing about this game that isn't in line with boomer shooters, but it's more in line with post-Halo games. You you have a dedicated grenade button. And
Is that the cocktail that we might not be calling the same thing as other places?
no, it is just a grenade. Like it was always just a grenade. Yeah, you've got the you've got wine bottles, but surprisingly, you can't turn those into Molotov cocktails.
I know they seem to be exploding on fire pretty well.
Like, maybe I'm wrong.
Is that what Petty was just throwing?
If you
I think
alt
you might
fire
be-
with them, then they can turn into Molotovs.
There we go. I never used the alt fire on that. My bad.
If you normal fire with it, you just drink it?
Yup.
Yeah, you.
Does that do anything?
Increase your
It
health.
heals you.
But also makes you slightly drunk.
Yeah,
So your shots are a little off.
A little? Yeah.
That's a bit of redneck rampage, but it's nowhere near as elaborate.
Yeah.
Like
it goes away after a few seconds, so it's not like
Yeah.
I've definitely played worse.
Once again, redneck rampage.
You may not be Russian, but you're from that approximate part of the world. You can handle your liquor.
Yeah. Also worth noting, we've got a mighty boot. Like they haven't called it anything else, so it's a mighty boot. You know, you can. Yeah, that probably what they should have called it, but that's German.
I know.
Yeah. Also,
Das Boot, but in Russian.
Czech. Remember, everything here is Czech.
That's right.
And finally, there's a lightning gun, which is pure distilled Quake. Right down to, don't ever use that in water. You know, it's like, so the weapon selection is functional for the most part. Although being honest, there were a few too many worthless weapons. Really, I found that only the double barrel and the rocket launcher were really worth anything.
I mean, the SMG is all right, but the basic pistol you get sucks ass.
Yeah, even dual wielding doesn't do much more. The SMG, it's fairly weak because it takes a ton of ammo to really down stuff.
I guess,
SMG, more like sucks machine gun.
I mean, at least it's better than the pistol, just because it
True.
does have. It can pump out enough damage to, actually do something.
Yeah. Mine's, I wasn't, I didn't use all that often. They could be handy, but they're a bit too tactical for my taste for a game like this, if that makes any sense.
You're supposed to be moving and firing quickly. You don't have time to set something down that long in advance.
Yeah. That's generally my disposition when it comes to something like this. I mean, you can do it. It works. But, or you start save scumming. Like, oh, these enemies are here. And you can blow them up. Likewise, the enemy roster is interesting, if nothing else. Sometimes. You can draw some parallels to Quake again. The hazmat guys are very obviously ogres from Quake. To cite one example. But it does have its surreal stuff as well. I won't spoil too much about that, but one of the first bosses is a statue of a gorilla.
Well then.
Does it do things?
Oh god, yeah. And then the next boss after that is a Olympic hobby horse.
What?
Look it up.
I know what a hobby horse is.
And you heard what I said. It's a hobby horse that comes to life. I don't know why it did that.
Do you mean pommel horse?
Yeah, well, yeah. Whatever the the thing Olympus to swing up.
Okay, yeah, that's a pommel horse. A hobby
Oh.
horse is the stick with a horse's head on it for kids to pretend to ride around.
Yeah, sorry. And there's the regular horse with the gas mask. You know, like I said, this game can get weird. You know, like one of my personal favorites was the first level of the third episode, which I don't believe Petty has access to. But
Yeah, I only have the demo for anyone wondering.
yeah, and which I think is the first episode,
Something like that.
or something like that. But it's a level based off of a Czech novel that came out in the 30s called Invasion of the Newts. And it's quite literal, like you're fighting newts. And let's just say it's more interesting and funny than the base premise would allow, I'd say. And as far as how well it pulls off the whole boomer shooter identity, very solid. In fact, that's if I were reviewing this game, I'd give it that kind of grade. It's nothing amazing in terms of mechanics, but it's all solid fundamentals, if maybe a bit too generic for its own good in a lot of ways. Like, this game is perhaps too brown. Like, I know Quake was brown.
Like, you could at least use some non-brown tinted gray to, mix it up every once in a while.
Yeah. But it's just like everything is brown. Brown on brown on brown. Like, it's downright monochromatic at times.
Which I understand is part of the feel of the times, but also is not necessarily great for gameplay.
Yeah. It's not so much gameplay, it's memorability. Because, a lot of these levels do blend in with each other. Even when they switch up the architecture from going, Soviet brutalist realism to, old, medieval times. Because guess what? Prague has a lot, and the surrounding countryside has, old castles to it.
Oh, yeah. Prague is an old city.
Yeah, which is once again a nod to Quake, because Quake had that as well. But, the colors, when those castles are also brown, levels just tended to blur together. When they didn't have anything particularly interesting going on, like that one level that was a homage to, of all things, Half-Life's On a Rail. And yeah, like Petty, you've been playing the game. What are your thoughts on Prot here?
If you're saying anything, we can't hear you.
Actually, I muted myself. Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm not very good at it, but it's fine.
Well, I mean, just give it a bit of practice, and
Yeah.
I think, this kind of game.
Yeah.
I've
been playing
and you don't have my absolutely no eyes in the back or sides of my headitis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I took to this like a duck takes to water. I mean, I played on normal, but still, I know this kind of game. Mm-hmm. I grew up on this kind of game, and I still enjoy this kind of game.
And you, sir, are not this kind of game.
No, it is. It very much is.
No, I'm kidding.
Also, a lot of what went into this game is local flavor. So you might want to look up some liner notes to get what things are. Like the very name is derived from spear in Czech, but apparently refers to the tip of a spear. It doesn't have a direct translation into English, but this is the approximation of what this word means. For example, basically, I felt like I was watching an episode of Urusei Yatsura. That's a bit of an odd reference to make, but that would take some time to explain.
Yeah, now I'm picturing Lum wearing like communist clothes and not being happy with it. Although she does have a built-in lightning gun.
Yeah. Well, that's because back in the day, when Animego released the original Urusei Yatsura over here, they had a ton of liner notes.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
I
miss liner note heavy releases.
This is one of those.
Translator notes and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is one of those.
Okay, if you live in this case, you live in the United States, there is absolutely no reason why you would have the context to get these European references. So, and also other side of the Iron Curtain references. So here you go.
Yeah, like another example. One of the health power-ups was in early access a can of blood and fat, which confounded people here. Like, that's an ingredient for soup stock, as it turns out.
Mm-hmm.
Now they changed the power-up name to it's now canned poultry, which I presume is something else was popular in Czechoslovakia during the Soviet era. Or, metals are a power-up, and that's based off of a joke in Eastern Bloc countries. I could go on, but I'm not. Because we do have to wrap things up here. Anyway, Herat is a good game, and kind of got swamped under the release of other boomer shooters, or boomer shooter adjacent, however you want to quantify Bolt Gun. And also Slayer X. There's a lot of these now. Anyway, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. As usual, be sure to tune in about 20 minutes for a new installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents. And coming up on the week ahead, let me see here. No Friday show this week. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we'll be having reviews of Cultbert in the Jungle, Trail of Ayash, Catch the Fox, and Zoom. Or Zoom. There's two Z's here, so I'm not exactly sure if I'm supposed to having extra emphasis here, or it's just Zoom. But in any case, look for that on Sunday. And until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.